Hi, everybody. My name is Kim Rayner, and I am going to do a short presentation today on something that is near and dear to my heart, and it truly is helping families and communities leverage and grow their money. And this is especially important to me. I'll introduce myself and I'll tell you a little bit more about why in just a minute. But my name is Kim Rayner. I'm a debt solutions strategist. I'm actually the founder of a coaching company called All About Spirit, Life, Health, and Money Coaching. I am a multi-generational serial entrepreneur, and I think that I may have made that name up. What that means is my grandfather, my dad, my mom, my sister, my son, me, we all either own or have owned our own businesses. I've been a real estate investor since 1977. I've been a private lender in real estate investing for, I don't know, I guess it was about 15 years. I've been a life, health, and money coach for about 26 years. And I really became invested in the work that I do here with Debt Shredder because in 2007, I was in my third year of nursing school and I was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. And in that process, I lost my home, I lost my career, I lost my capacity to work in the world. I lost everything. And what I know today is, had I had access to the information that I'm going to share with you this afternoon, I probably would not have lost everything. I probably would have been able to source my life differently. I am completely grateful for where I am today, but truly the world is walking out today after COVID and all of that crazy. They're walking out of what I lived through in 2007 and 2008. So I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about my mission, which is eliminating debt in our communities, one family at a time, giving people control over their financial future through education and through financial literacy. So in 2002, the average American debt payments reached 9.7% of their income. That is almost 10% of your gross income today is going toward paying off debt. That is significant. There's some key figures that I'm just going to share with you. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. These first two numbers up here, these are household debts, right? Average household debt is about $101,915. That's in quarter one of 2023. Median household debt is about $67,000. These last numbers are actually those are debts nationwide, right? $17 trillion in consumer debt, $12.04 trillion in mortgage debt, $339 billion in revolving credit and home equity lines, $1.56 trillion in auto loan debt, credit card debt, $986 billion in credit card debt. Those are really, really big numbers. I'm going to go through a quick scenario using a 30-year mortgage of a $200,000 home at 4.5% interest. The things that I really want you to remember is $200,000 and 4.5% interest. And the reason I want you to remember those is because the picture is going to look a little bit different when we get to the end of this little scenario. Now, you may have a mortgage, you may have other kind of debt, and I can promise you that your debt may look different than this, but the process is going to be exactly the same. So let's look at the first year of debt payments, right? You're going to pay about $12,000 to pay your debt back. That first year, $8,900 of that is going to go to interest. About $3,200 of that is going to go to principal. That is not this 4.5% simple interest number that we're thinking about. It's actually compounded, and it comes to about 73% interest. Big difference, right? Let's look at 2 years into your payments. Not a whole lot different, right? About $8,700 paid in interest, about $3,500 paid toward principal, 72% debt in 2 years. So let's kick the can down the block about 20 years and let's see what that looks like, right? You've now paid about $243,000 in interest for your $200,000 home. I have no problem at all with the fact that it costs money to borrow money. What I have a problem with is wasting money. So we're going to go all the way to the end of your mortgage. Let's say you've never had a late payment, you have never had a penalty, you've never paid a fee. You will, here you are at 20 years, right? You still owe almost half of what you originally borrowed. And that's if you've never made a late payment or anything. So 2/3 of the way through your note, you still owe just about half of what you originally borrowed. Now let's kick the can down the block to 30 years. Here we are. You have paid $365,000 for your $200,000 home. That is $164,800 in interest, almost $165,000 in interest. That is 82%, not 4.5%. And it's not that your financial institution or your lender or anybody lied to you. You signed or initialed the document called the Truth in Lending Statement, where they told you exactly what you were going to pay proportionately for your interest over time. It's just that we don't understand the way that money is actually compounded. So typical American family has about 6 debts. These are just 6 types of debts that I picked for this presentation. When everybody walks into a debt conversation, they have a pain point that they're looking at. It might be this 18.99% interest rate. It might be this $226,000 mortgage. It might be the fact that their recreational toys are costing them interest, right? There's a pain point somewhere in their heart. And I hear all the time, well, I throw an extra $10 here. I throw an extra $20 there. I use debt snowball. I use debt avalanche. I'm doing something to pay down these debts. So if you took a second and looked at it, how would you pay down the debt? What would be the one that you would throw an extra couple bucks at? Here's the thing about that. How do you choose what the right option is, right? Most of us do it from that emotional pain point, that 18%, that $226,000, right? That maybe I shouldn't be playing because I still have debt, right? How are we choosing it? The fact is, if you have 6 debts, which is what the average family has, that's the story that we're looking at here, there are 720 possible ways that you could pay down that debt. So who's going to sit and figure that out, right? Our platform removes the guesswork for you literally with the push of a button. It says, what's the best, most cost-effective way to pay my debt down? So this is actually a testimonial from Dave Kay, who lives in Lititz, Pennsylvania. Dave is a farmer. These are excerpts of his testimonial. He says, I learned my lesson the hard way. Following the prompts seemed too simple for me. I got a $30,000 income in a one-time payment, right? So he got a windfall in whatever way that showed up in his life. His ag loan was his highest interest loan. That was his emotional pain point. That was the one that was hurting him, and he wanted it paid off. So he put all of that money, all $30,000 into his ag loan. He canceled $9,000 worth of interest. He was feeling pretty good about that. And then we said, well, what would happen if we'd have put the money into Debt Shredder and we'd have followed the prompts? Well, Debt Shredder would have taken that $30,000 and it would have split it up over 3 of his loans, not just one of his loans. Debt Shredder would have canceled $15,000 worth of interest instead of $9,000. So he'd have gotten an extra third of his debt paid off had he followed the prompts of the system. But he needed to make or felt like he needed to make the emotional decision instead. So how do we do this? Well, we literally use something called algorithms. And algorithms are nothing more than decision-making processes or programs that prioritize and recommend the next step that should be taken based on your data. And for us, your data is, what are your debts? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your saving goals? When do you want to take your trip, right? The things that are important to you, that's the data that we plug into the system. And our system is updated in real time. So how is the Debt Shredder different than other things that you might hear about, debt snowball, debt avalanche, those kind of things? Well, we use 3 different strategies. The first strategy is something that's called float. It uses existing credit resources to maximize grace periods, which allows you to use other people's money. Now, let me tell you, float is what financial institutions use. I'm going to say against us because I don't know how else to say it, but it's what they use against us forever. For every dollar that you have on deposit, or every $100, let's say every $100 that you have on deposit at your financial institution can loan $90 out 10 times. $90, 10 times. Big deal, right? Well, it is a big deal when you say, I'm paying 6% interest for my mortgage or 19% interest for my credit card, and you're paying me 0.5%, less than 0.5% for the money I have on deposit. There is a reason that your financial institution and your banker is going to Hawaii and you are eating ramen noodles, right? I mean, there's a reason that that's happening. The other thing that we do is accrual. It uses interest earning savings to create principal for yourself, so you can use that principal to pay down debt instead of leaving it lay someplace like in a bank where you're getting 0.5% interest and just sitting there as idle cash or stuck in a safe deposit box somewhere. It also uses something called cancellation, interest cancellation. So it will evaluate your situation. It'll knock interest off of your most costly debts using strategic payments. So a lot of times people will say, well, I'm going to pay $10 extra on my credit card and I'll just tack it onto my bill. But strategically, that's not really the best way to do that. You don't get much by paying your credit card bill, tossing an extra $10 on it. When you really need to do that is 7 to 15 days after your credit card is due, because that's the window of time when you're going to get the best bang for your buck for the extra payment. Debt Shredder evaluates all of that, and it helps you pay down your debt in the most effective way. So this is an actual financial report for Jeff and Cheryl. Jeff and Cheryl are getting close to retirement. Jeff is age 64, and Jeff and Cheryl are not their real names, right? Change the names to protect the innocent, but these are the real numbers, right? So when you look at this, this is their debt summary, right? $501,396,068 in debt, right? That means that he's going to be in his 90s, right? He's going to be in his 90s by the time his debt is paid off. That means that Jeff is going to be working for a long time. He's going to be the checker at Walmart, or he's going to be the greeter at Walmart, right? Because that's the debt portfolio that he is otherwise going to leave for his children. So the bank says, okay, Jeff and Cheryl, you owe $501,000. It's going to cost you $722,072 to pay that back. That's more than 44% of their current balance. They're going to charge him $220,000 in interest, almost $221,000 in interest, and he's going to be debt-free in 26.1 years. He's going to be 90 by the time the bank says he's done. When we ran his numbers for him, we said, well, let's take a look at what we can do. We say we can have you paid off in $628,996, so about $629,000. We'll have you pay $127,599 in interest, and we'll have you debt-free in 11.4 years. So right here that says we will save you $93,075 in interest. That's a big tip that you've left for the bank otherwise. And we will save you 14.7 years. If you took the money, Jeff and Cheryl, and you put that money into an account earning 1% interest, and you could just continued making those payments until the bank said you would be debt-free, you would have amassed $879,703 in your savings. That's at 1% interest, right? So can we build wealth and save debt at the same time? You bet we can. So let me just, okay. Here's the thing about it. People say, well, how did you do that? Did you eat ramen noodles and chicken soup for the rest of your life? No, we literally did that with $11 of discretionary income. We saved $93,000 with $11 a month in discretionary income. So give up a cup of Starbucks coffee a month and we'll save you that much money. That's a big deal. That's life-changing numbers. So when I take a look at some of the people that I've helped with debt shredder, there's a lot of different reasons that we take a look at our debt. The first person here, truly ready for retirement in their early 70s, only owes $10,000 to the bank, $10,890, so about $11,000. The bank says you're going to pay $12,190. Debt shredder says, yeah, we can have the job done in $11,701. The bank says you'll be in debt for 6.3 years. This is the thing that made the difference for this client. We will have you debt free in 2.7 years. We'll only save you $489 in interest. That's not a big number, but we will save you 3.6 years of going to a job to pay off your debt. And we did that with $4.46 in discretionary income. And this last column will always be what's the earning potential. If you put that money in a 1% rate of return, the money that you would be paying to your bank through the life of your debt. Next client, $112,174. The bank says you're going to pay $204,192 by the time you're done. Projected interest for us says $144,683. The bank says you're going to be in debt for 32.2 years. Debt Shredder says we'll have you out of debt in 7.7. That is life-changing. That's life-changing. We will save $59,509 in interest, 24.5 years, using $10 a month in discretionary income. Those aren't big numbers. We're not going to put you on a ramen noodle diet. This next customer, $269,625,000. The bank said $416,000 is what they're going to pay in interest. We say we can have you debt free in $325,000. The bank says you'll be in debt for 27.7 years. I say I can have you out of debt in 9 years, in a third of the time, right? The interest saved $90,967, but 18.7 years. That's with $50 a month in discretionary income. These are life-changing. This is the difference between having vacations with your family and not having vacations with your family, right? This one here, $759,000 could be in their saving portfolio. This is a family that is both good income, and real estate investors owe about $577,000 in total debt. Bank says $885,814,000 by the time it's all done. Projected interest, $742,681. Ouch, right? Debt Shredder says $742,681. The bank says 42.5 years you're going to be in debt. And when we talked to them, they said, well, I don't have anything that says 42.5 years is the length of that note. It had to do with student loans, and it had to do with home equity line of credit that said, there are things that are going to have to happen here that you're going to need to account for or make up for. And we help people pay attention to what's going on in their debt portfolio so they can make smart decisions. We say we can have you out of debt in 15.8 years. Now, they have kids that are grade school age. They will be out of debt by the time their kids are out of school. That is life-changing. We saved them 26.7 years with $300 a month in discretionary income. And they were actually throwing a lot more than $300 a month in discretionary income at their debt. They didn't need to be. They were wasting that money by putting it out there sooner than they had to. We help you find your sweet spot to say what's the best way that we can get you out of debt. And here, the earning potential of that, if they put that money away, $1,448,000 in their portfolio. So there's a huge business behind this business, and I'm happy to share information with you about that. If you'd like to join me on this Wednesday at 7:30 Central Time or this Thursday at 7:30 Central Time, please send me a message. Take the time to send me a message, and I will make sure that you get an invitation to that event. The next steps otherwise would be experience the math, but behind what seems like magic. This isn't magic. This is facts and figures. These are number-based things. You can start securing your financial future truly by having a conversation with me. You can schedule your free analysis by contacting me either in the link below or at 920-858-1910. We do collaborative partnerships. There are with real estate investors, with financial advisors, with people who are interested in doing anybody who puts people in debt or helps people go into debt. We can do collaborative partnerships with you, and we can help you be a different kind of partner for your clients. So again, you can reach out to me and I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you for taking the time to visit with me, and I look forward to having a conversation with you soon. Until we meet again, be well.